Hi, so Charlie giving you Wednesday's video. I've titled today's video Setting Monetary Goals in Trading. And so we're going to go through how to go about setting those goals, because people like to have some sort of framework as to, okay, and we get this sort of question all the time. Charlie, I want to make this amount of money per month. How much money do I need to have in an account? Or it's the other way around. I've got this amount in my account. How much can I make? And a lot of the time it's, well, how long's a piece of string? Because different people have different trading styles. They have different amounts of risk they might put on per trade. So it's, you know, that it has to be a very personal thing to the individual. But what I can do is go through some ideas with you on how to go about setting some sort of overall framework or monetary goal, because it's, you know, everyone, we're in trading to make money, aren't we? So it's all very well talking about pips and everything else, but it's a bit meaningless to me. I always talk in monetary terms, really. But okay, let's go straight into this. Oh, before I do, not around for Friday's live trading. Last Friday ended up losing. The video went up on Monday, and so both trades lost. And so but like I said from last Friday's video, these are the ones that you learn more from, and it's all about risk reward. As long as you're getting your risk reward, you get a couple of good risk reward ratio trades come along, and they pay for the losers. Like I said, that 1 to 56 risk reward I had recently, but I'm in other swing trades which are in good risk rewards currently. So anyway, what else is there? Yeah, so not around Friday, so I'll be back next Wednesday. Right, let's get into this. Setting monetary goals. How do we start? Okay. Now, if you're a day trader or a swing trader, you can do this exercise, but it's just a case of obviously you have to allow some slack depending on what sort of style of trader you are. So let's get the pen up and let's go through this. So first of all, what I get a lot of the time is people saying, okay, I would like to make, let's say, £2,000 a month. Okay, so they want to make £2,000 a month. And for a lot of people, that's quite a daunting figure when they're starting out or they haven't been trading that long. And the thought of trying to make £2,000 a month seems quite a lot. So what I always say is break it down. So you break down £2,000 a month into how much is that a week. So nice and simple. So it's £500 a week. Okay. So then you break it down. So it's £100 a day. Okay. Now, at the moment, I'm talking more towards a day trader because you know, you're calculating on a daily basis how much you want to be trying to make. So, but I'll talk about swing trading as well because it's just as important. And so, okay, all of a sudden you've broken it down. Okay, well, £100 a day, right? Okay, so if I'm having a winning day, what you know, what would my amount of pips be if I'm having a winning day? So you could say, okay. Let's, for argument's sake, say on a typical winning day, it's around about 30 pips. Okay. Okay. So then you would say, okay, 30 pips. That means that, and you want to be making around about £100 a day. So that says if you're trading at just over £3 a pip, at £3 per pip, that would get you to your, pretty much just a bit over £3 a pip, would get you to your £100 a day target, which would then see you to 2,000. However, there's a gaping hole in this calculation, and we haven't allowed for days where you don't reach 30 pips. Maybe you have days where you're flat, you don't trade at all. You have losing days as well. So what we actually need to do is say, okay, fair enough. On those winning days, on my winning days, yes, I make 30 pips, but there's no point trading at £3 per pip to make £100, because what we actually need to be doing is we need to, on our winning days, probably be making more towards, let's just make it easy, more towards £200. In order to get our average of £100, which takes us up to £2,000 a month, we need to, on our winning days, be making that bit much more. So if we're making £200 on our winning days, then that hopefully can pay for the losing days as well, so that we come out at that overall average. Yes? Okay, so now we come back to our 30 pips. So now we know we need to be trading at just under £7 per pip. Okay, £7 a pip. Okay, so £7 a pip on our trades. Now you could say, okay, maybe you trade, take two trades of 15 pips or whatever, but whatever. Anyway, I'm trying to keep it simple. So that means you would be, have I got this right? 3 sevens are 21. Hold on a second. So we're making 30 pips. Yeah, sorry. So let's say your stop loss typically was 15 to 20 pips on that trade. Okay. So therefore you are risking around about £100 to make. So your risk, I'm trying to make this really simple for my own little brain here today. I'm doing this on the fly. So your risk is £100. Okay. So let's assuming that you had a stop loss of 15 pips and you're targeting 30 pips. Okay, so in this hypothetical trade here, but it's a sort of trade that is fairly common, that's a common sort of stop loss on an intraday, and it's a common sort of target around about 30 pips. It could be less, could be a bit more, depends on the day and on the market. So you're risking £100 to make £200. So if you're risking £100, how much do you need to have in your trading account? Right, okay, so how much do I need to have in my trading account at a minimum would be £10,000, because £100 would be 1% of 10,000. So, and you want to be at a maximum really of 1%, let's say. A lot of traders trade at less than 1%. They trade at 0.5%. Some traders trade at a third of 1%. Just depends on your comfort levels, and really, some traders just say, do you know what? I'm just always trade that much better when I'm trading at 0.5%. I actually start to get fidgety if I'm trading at 1%. So again, it depends on the individual. So all of a sudden now we've answered a question there. Someone's saying, okay, I want to make £2,000. How do I go about doing that? Firstly, you break it down. You break it down and you say, okay, so it's £100 a day, for example. But of course I need to factor in losing days. So in fact, if I doubled that and I try and make £200 a day on my winning days, if on my winning days I'm making £200, then hopefully I'm paying for the times when I'm losing or flat or not quite making as much. So hopefully that makes sense there. Now with regards to swing traders, the thing with swinging is that with day traders they can say how much per day and everything else. With swing traders, you get into a swing trade and you could be holding on to that swing trade for maybe a few days, but it could be a few weeks potentially. So the gains come in, they're less constant. They can be a lot bigger, but you have to wait a lot longer sometimes, depending on the type of trade that you're taking. But you can still break it down and say, okay, if I still wanted to make £2,000 a month, you can still take the same type of calculation. You're not necessarily going to break it down into how much per day, but you might say, okay, so if I need to be averaging £500 a week, how much do I need to therefore be trading at? What sort of position size? Bearing in mind I'm looking at a typical sort of swing trades, and what would my typical sort of pippage be on a swing trade? So you might say, I don't know, let's just make up 100 pips here. So you say, okay, 100 pips might be my typical swing trade target. There might be much bigger ones than that, but again, I'm just doing this on the fly. So therefore, again, you could say, well, £5 a point would get me to that £500, but of course we're not allowing for losing trades by doing that. So, and that's of course, and actually what I'm saying, that's what £500 a week. You might have, how many trades are you having? You might not need to trade at £5 a point, because you might have, let's say, 3 swing trades a week on average. So again, it depends on your trade frequency as well, but you can see how you can break it down anyway. So whatever your trade frequency is, you've got to look at how many trades you take a week on average or over a course of a month. Then you can break it down into how many pips as an average when on the winning trades is it. So let's assume it's 100 pips on the winners, 50 pips on the losers. Then very quickly you can say, okay, well in that case, I need to be trading at X amount to get to that average of £500. So obviously in this instance, I'd need to be trading at double that in order to make sure that I'm paying for losers. But that didn't factor in the frequency of trades there. So this is the type of thing when you're setting out a goal, just how you can very quickly break it down, whether you're a day trader or a swing trader, and say, right, okay, I can now break it down and I can figure out what sort of account size I need to be able to trade, depending on whether I'm swing trading, day trading, in order to get the sort of gains that I want. And if you're at a point where you say, do you know what, I only have £2,000 in a trading account, so I'm nowhere near being able to create an income, let's say, if that's what you're wanting from an account. No, that's true, but you can still carry on sharpening your edges, sharpening your tools, trading with whatever size account you have. And if you get a bonus from work, or you're saving a little bit of money from work on the side, and you're proving to yourself that you can make money from trading, even it might only be a little bit because you might not have a big account, but bit by bit, maybe you top up your account. You know, if you're proving to yourself that you can make money, then you can keep topping it up with some as a savings tool. So you're growing the account from a trading perspective, and then you're also topping it up with the odd £100 here or there. And I know I'm talking at very low levels here, but that's just, I have to deal with, I'm putting this out here at that levels because, you know, a large majority of traders people who get into trading, the average spread bet account in the UK, or CFD account in the UK, from someone getting into trading is anywhere from £1.5 to sort of £3,000. It's that type of amount, so it makes sense for me to do it at these levels. So hopefully that's given you some food for thought there today on how to come up with some sort of plan for how much, depending on how much money you want to be making or growing your account by whatever. One thing that I always have to say though is, do not become a slave to the targets. We've just talked about targets here, and it's good to do have a plan, have it in your trading plan, and so that you know roughly what it is you need to be achieving, or you want to be achieving, but then you need to put it aside and focus on the process of trading. So we've just gone through all of this, but the main thing is, if you become a slave to the figures, and then you're like, oh, I didn't make my £500 this week, oh god, I've underperformed, all of a sudden you're thinking about the money too much. So you have to focus on the process. Yes, you've got an overall plan and overall goals and stuff. Tuck them away once you've written them. You know roughly where you're at, and that's it. So for me personally, with my personal trading account, what I do is I have a range. I have a range of what I'm looking to make over the course of a year. So I know that if I'm trading in a certain way, then some points. So let me give you an example. So my range, I'm not going to my members know what my range is, but let's assume my range is, oh, it doesn't matter, one let's just say. So I have a range of 150k to 250k. Okay. Now some years I'll exceed the 250k, and some years I'll be closer to the 150k, or sometimes lower. So I give myself quite a wide range to trade over. And so I don't set myself up for disappointment this way. Okay, I guess I could still, you know, if I'd made 50,000, would I still be disappointed? Maybe a little bit, because, you know, 50,000 is way below what I should be doing. But you have to put up with that sort of thing on a yearly basis anyway. Those sort of things can happen. And so if you have an overall range, then you're not pinning yourself to, if I'm not pinning myself to 250, if I then exceed it, then great. If I come lower than it, then I'm not overly disappointed either. Again, these are all psychological things that you do just to try and make sure that you are not allowing yourself to get caught up in all of the emotions and being disappointed if you don't hit your goals and your targets and everything like that. So anyway, there you go. There's some thoughts there on the whole setting targets and also not pinning yourself to those targets. Have them written out, have them in a plan, and then try to get back on the focus on the process of trading. Slightly long one there for you today. Sorry about that. I shall see you next week.